When a lake is calm, what do you see into the lake? You see the whole sky. If it is not calm, then you are seeing frogs jumping here, fish jumping there, they're shouting together, the bird is going after it. I'm trying to dramatize. So many things to think about. But when it becomes calm, we're drawn to God. The majesty of God enfolds. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansya Chanuramardanam Devki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness, and bestower of immortality. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 7, Jnana-Vijnana-Yoga, the yoga of knowledge and realization. Two terms are used, Jnana and Vijnana. Jnana is to lead your intellect to understand the truth. Vijnana, one step further, be immersed in the truth. You are a river flowing, and your goal is to enter the ocean. To have that clarity of understanding is Jnana. With Jnana, you begin to flow on until you have entered into the ocean. In a simple way, first one we call it Paroksha Jnana, indirect. That's confined to your intellect. The second one is intuitional. Intellect is not the same. It undergoes a transformation. So that's a profound challenge when you study scriptures. Intellectually, you get what the scripture says, but you have to have patience and strength enough to assimilate what you have learned. And assimilating again is not easy. That process of assimilation is spiritual awakening. If you are dreaming and in your dream someone convinces you, it is a dream. You know it now. But knowledge to be effective, you have to wake up. Having given you that, let me go on with the verses of the Gita. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Saktamana Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashraya Asanshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Jnasyasit Tatshrinu. Bhagavan Krishna said, with your mind attached to me, with me as your refuge, practicing yoga, O Partha means Arjuna. He is the son of Kunti, who was also known as Pritha. How will you know me fully without any doubt? That may you hear from me. the teachings are highly condensed. That gives you a suspense. Let's follow each point. Maya sakta manah partha. With your mind attached to me. How can human mind be attached to God? Also, you should understand, attachment that mind knows is not so pleasing in the world, when you are attached to someone. In family, people become attached to each other. But along with that attachment, you do not have a sense of feeling that with whom you are attached is adorable. You may be attached, but you don't consider the person with whom you are attached is adorable. You come under someone whose teachings inspire you or whose business inspires you. You turn to that person considering him adorable. In other words, attachment and sense of adoration don't go together in practical world. But Lord Krishna says, develop attachment to me, not the type of attachment you are used to, but attachment and consider me the greatest. Adoration and attachment, both towards God. This, you need to work it out. There's a big difference. And this shifting from attachment, worldly attachment, to attachment to God, this shifting is the secret of your spiritual progress. Now, to come to a simplified form, in order to be attached to God, develop qualifications of an aspirant. Develop Sadhana-chatushtaya, the fourfold qualifications. Also, it is described as sadhana sampatti, the wealth of sadhana. These points have been given to you before, but we always take the opportunity of repeating the same thing, called gada parinyaya, hammering again and again. You have enjoyed certain food, and go on enjoying it again and again. And this point is very important. When you repeat enjoying the same food again and again, you are never complaining against it. But when you enjoy listening to the same insight through satsanga, and if your mind will say, why, I heard it 5 years ago, he said the same thing. If your mind is working that way, you must know the mind has not understood. Your mind should enjoy it and go on listening to it again and again and again. And you derive increasing insight from it. That's your nutrition and at a different level. Nutrition for the body, nutrition for your thought. Now coming to Sadhana-chatushtaya, the 4 qualifications. Viveka, first point. This is the quality of your intellect. Intellect is the greatest aspect of your personality. Understanding comes from your buddhi, intellect. And it's understanding that makes a big difference in your personality. Misunderstanding keeps you groping in darkness. Understanding takes you out of it. The greatest gift of God, blessing of God to humanity is there is potential understanding in every heart. And the Vedic prayer, best of prayers, Sabko Sanmati De Bhagavan. O God, give good understanding to everyone. And that's done by great mantras. Bhurvuvah Swatat Savitur Varenyam. God whose glory illumines all. May that illumination aspect of God shine on our intellect. When your intellect is blessed, or in other words, if you are promoting enrichment in the plane of your intellect, you want to understand in a profound way, who am I? What's the nature of this world? What's my goal? And of all these questions, the central question, who am I? Your identity becomes the most important point. You go anywhere, before they ask you what many things about you, show your identity. Who am I? And mind that begins to show the difference between the real I am and the unreal I am. First point to understand that it's a kind of a mixed up situation. The sense of identity goes on shifting in human being. Certain things have to be accomplished by your physical body. Physical body has to move to another place. And in that stage, physical body is your identity. But while physical body holds a reality for you, there is another reality, hunger and thirst. That comes from your vital sheaths. When you are hungry, you move away from physical identity. If you have to go anywhere, you deck yourself, brush up and all types of things. But when you're hungry to eat something, you don't do that. Your tongue begins to come out. Now your identity has changed. And when you become worried with anxiety, pondering over something, now even that identity moves. Your mind, all your problem, your stress is there. What to do with it? Something is pinching within your mental state. And then you go further. Your identity comes to intellect level. And at that level, intellect and ego, they remain blended. So, when you suddenly come to discover that certain thing you does things you didn't know. It was all the time there. You were sleeping on a place where there was a treasure buried. You didn't know it. Suffered through a lot of misery. I'm just giving you one of the illustrations. So, you begin to curse yourself. How is it? I'm such a dullwit. When you have do so, you are identified with your intellect. Along with the intellect, your ego. The intellect tells you you didn't know. Ego tells you you're a miserable wretch. Viveka means, try to understand, you are even beyond your intellect and ego. When you go into deep sleep, all the 5 sheaths, there are 5 layers in your personality. The physical sheath called Annamaya Kosha, called food sheath, because physical body is sustained by physical food. The next layer of in your personality is Pranamaya Kosha. Your physical body will have no life unless there is vital flow of energy. It is that vital aspect that creates in you hunger, thirst, and behind all the sense pleasures, that vitality within you. But that vital aspect is manipulated by your mind. Mind is a higher level than your vital sheath. If your mind is happy, your vitality flows joyous. The moment mind becomes in distress, the vitality begins to be withdrawn. Your face tells it very quickly. Sad thoughts, and the face begins to reflect it. Something is withdrawn, sadness. What's the color of sadness? No one knows. And what's the color of gladness? It depends upon the vitality, prana. And all that occurs because of your mind. Mind feels joyous. Vitality comes through the face. Mind feels distress. How mind manipulates your pranas, that can be easily understood. And behind the operations of the mind, intellect and ego. If you have understood something in a particular way and it is negative, immediately your mind grips your pranas in a negative way. So all that I'm leading you to understand that these are all layers, and you are not there. You are beyond these layers. You are beyond the physical layer, the vital layer, the mental layer, the layer of intellect and ego. Then there comes the layer of unconscious. That layer of unconscious is called Anandamaya Kosha. Each layer has a Sanskrit name. Annamaya Kosha, food sheath. Pranamaya Kosha, vital sheath. Manomaya Kosha, mind and senses together. Mental sheath. Vijnanamaya Kosha, intellect and ego together. And then Anandamaya Kosha. Literally, it means bliss sheath. But It is the unconscious within you. Why it is called bliss sheaths? When you enter into deep sleep, you move away from your physical, vital, mental, intellect, ego, and you are in a special state of rest, a joyous condition, a kind of recharging yourself, having a wonderful bath in the restful tub. And what's the name of the tub? Ignorance. No, no. It is Anandamaya Kosha. When you are suddenly awakened from your sleep, someone brings a good news to you and so impatient, he has to give you the news and wakes you up abruptly. No matter how wonderful the news, first impression in your mind is kind of great annoyance. What you were experiencing was far more than any news of this world. You are closest to your own essential nature. But you are separated by the veil of ignorance. Now, if that insight goes on growing in you, then that's called Viveka. I am not the physical sheaths. These 5 sheaths are described in the terms of 3 bodies. Physical sheath is physical body. Vital sheath, mental sheath, intellect sheath, 3 together is called Sukshma Sharir, subtle body. And the Anandamaya Kosha, the causal sheath, is called causal body. Just like sometimes you have a box and it has 3 compartments. The middle compartment has 3 sections. So section-wise you have 5 sections. Compartment-wise you have 3 compartments. 3 compartments, 3 bodies. Going to the extension of these compartments, 5 sheets. Developing that understanding that all these are coverings. The real I am is not the body. And allowing your mind to understand that in daily life, try to understand, look at how you were looking, say, 10 years ago. How do you look today? And how are we to look 20, 30 years later? But this is your instrument. You are not to depend upon the looks of the body. This is called Viveka. Don't be engrossed with the idea, this is the only way I must look all through my life. A child who is just very small and may develop that idea may always remain a child. And look at the mother from down up. But that's extremely dull-wit. But human mind has many dull-wit notions in relation to the body. Body must be kept healthy, strong, but it is not you. And in order to understand it is not you, you must keep the body in order. That's the Viveka movement. Understanding I'm not the physical body. Likewise, I'm not the vital sheath, but all the vital sheath and how they relate to your mind. And mind relates to the intellect within you. And it is by allowing the intellect to develop intuitional vision that the movement of Vivek reaches its climax. Movement of Vivek is to know I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this. But as intellect becomes intuitive, it is a revelation. I am that. That word, that will be defined. That is Satchidananda, God, Brahman, existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. I am the eternal self. When the intellect begins to show the difference between the self and the not self, and begins to shine more and more, the Vivek is developing within you. And it is the greatest wealth. If you do not have that, you are living under a dull-wit mind, no matter how much you acquire, no matter how fantastic things may happen in your life. But fox remains a fox. Next quality, Vairagya. Viveka gives you what is worth going after. Viveka tells you what is abiding, enduring, and what does not endure. Vairagya, that which is superficial, illusory layer, towards that you do not develop your attachment. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam. Look at life. Do not keep your mind shut against the terrible experiences that every life must go through. Terrible experience of birthing process. I will not elaborate on this. To the majority of people, it's a joyous situation. And that's perfectly normal. We're welcoming the spirit. But don't forget, don't let yourself repeat the same thing. Remember, baby doesn't have good time in that process. Completely suffocated. Mother doesn't have good time. With tremendous agony and suffering, physical, mental, and every way. Who has good time? All the people around him. They are enjoying. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. Think of that strange phenomenon, how souls come into baby state. Soul might have been great, powerful personalities in the past, and now absolutely helpless. A little small book edition. No matter how entertaining this baby can become to all, don't become that baby anymore. That's called Vairagya. Janma Mrityu. Think of the terrible predicament of death. Death hovers over the head of people throughout the life. Each time your dear one has gone somewhere, taken a trip, gone into the plane, your mind says, is the plane going to be hijacked? It's going through the Middle East. What will happen? I'm exaggerating. Not exaggerating, actually. Less exaggerating. And that fear haunts you at every move. Go on walking. You never know what type of cars and rush of things may happen. Or you would be in the mango grove. You never know what mango will fall right at a vital point. Janma Mrityu. And again, the actual experience of death. You become disembodied. The body you were in, now the body becomes just lifeless. That movement of passing out of the body, soul becomes exceedingly relaxed. Birthing process, at that time, there is terrible agony on the part of the soul. At the time of death, the soul has a sense of exquisite relief, shaken off. But people around the dying person, they undergo the pain, the sorrow. The table turns between the time of death and the time of birth. But in each condition, you are not in tune with the people around. A child, baby, is in agony, in shock. All enjoy it. Time of death, soul has thrown away, been burned. And all cry, why have you gone away? Gaining insight into all these in a profound way, in a mature way, not in a sentimental way. That's called Vairagya. And therefore, deep down, you develop a taste for attaining liberation, not to come back into the cycle of birth and death. No matter how wonderful family you may get in next life, you have to go through all these Janma, Mrityu, and while birth and death are the two terminals of your life, in between it is spotted with some special dots. That is gain, loss, jara vyadhi. Jarasandha works upon you. Jarasandha was a demon. Krishna fought against Jarasandha and he had to run away several times. Or I will not go into that story. But behind all those scriptural stories, there is a subtle meaning, mystical meaning. Jara is old age. Why do you suffer from old age? Because mind has been pursuing raga dvesha, attachment and hatred. Joy of your mind is to be serene, not to be always in a swing. Mind that has not gone into sadhana, yoga, practice of true religion, that mind has not been introduced to the joy of serenity. The real healthy joy you get to your mind is not on the basis of what has happened, but what is the reality ever present. The reality ever present, God is within you. Your soul is expressing, the root of your soul is in God. And that God is beyond your body, beyond your prana, beyond your mind, intellect. Just like a wave has its lots of troubles, but the ocean is the root. The root ocean has no troubles, figuratively speaking. So Vairagya, developing Vairagya, I'm talking about the Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. The fear of age. That fear comes because mind has been taught, mind has been accustomed to experiences of raga dvesha. Pleasant things have happened and mind is so happy. But hardly you come to a certain peak of that happiness, some wrong news comes in. Then hatred comes in. When negative happens, again you are under stress. When will it go away? When it goes away, you are in stress. Another type of stress, exhilaration. But while the exhilaration is working on, suddenly another news comes in. Life goes on, raga dvesha. Every day one expects something to happen to create the swing. But if your mind is highly mature, you don't expect anything to happen. Things are well already. But since mind is so used to happening, you develop an idea, let me enjoy today a peaceful day. Let me look at things, and in them let me see the glory of God. Let my mind become drawn to devotion to God. Let me develop divine qualities. So when you develop that idea, you are moving towards the goal. The goal is Brahman, God is always with you. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. I'm just trying to focus on those points. Janm, birth. Mrityu, death. Jara, old age. Old age has brought me into all these discussions of raga dveshas. Why old age you go through? Because karma. Why do you form karma? Because mind swings. Raga dvesha, attachment and hatred. If you didn't have a swing of raga dvesha, your mind will not be deluded by the notion, I am the doer. When you have that notion, I am the doer, then you become responsible for whatever work you have done. You become also the enjoyer. But when your mind is free of that illusion, I'm only an instrument in divine hand. And therefore, not dependent upon the shifting, passing pleasures and passing miseries. Both are transient, like day and night. And that's the purpose of satsanga. Satsanga goes on directing your mind to ever-present reality of God within your heart. All things may be helter-skelter in your life. But remember, one thing is not in helter-skelter. You are rooted in God. Only thing you can't shake hands with Him because God is your reality. God is your source. And this, you come in tune with your source when you learn to relax physically, mentally. Bring in your heart a sense of surrender. Allow your ego to bow down. Allow the entire personality to be at rest. Just like in sleep, certain degree of rest enters your personality, you are in deep sleep. With knowledge, in spiritual and maturity, when you allow yourself to experience God's presence, then bodily, mentally, all move into a state of relaxation. And that experience can be had any time because God is not a matter of historical happening. He is ever-present reality. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi. Therefore, the mind that is constantly haunted by time, each birthday you blow out the candles. It gives you a little ring of pathos. And begin to count how many more can you live to blow out. Instead of allowing your mind to constantly work upon the transient life, let your mind work upon eternity. I am in God's hand. Eternal peace, eternal joy, where your experience is not based on happenings, is not based on time and space. It is based upon the truth that never perishes. Returning to the truth. That return is a mystical return. And it is possible for anyone at any moment. But to prepare you to come to that realization, that's what all the yoga and Vedanta is there. So, I've been led into distraction by the term Vairagya. So far I have touched Viveka and Vairagya. Third is a set of 6 virtues called Shat Sampat. Sampat term means wealth. Sixfold treasure. And it's very important to understand. Shama. Shama is serenity, which I have explained. Allowing the mind to be unagitated, calm, relaxed. When a lake is calm, what do you see into the lake? You see the whole sky. If it is not calm, then you are seeing frogs jumping here, fish jumping there, they're shouting together, bird is going after it. I'm trying to dramatize. So many things to think about. But when it becomes calm, we're drawn to God. The majesty of God enfolds. Therefore, in Yoga Vasishtha, 4 gatekeepers have been described at the palace of liberation. And Shama is one of them, serenity. The next one is contentment, santosh. Third one is satsanga, good association. And fourth one, vichar, reflective mind that goes after looking for who am I, guided by wisdom. But now coming back to this sixfold treasure, Shama, serenity. Second one, Dhamma, control of senses. How much can you keep your senses and the mind and senses under control? That becomes the basis of your real progress and success in life. Suppose you are in a house with wonderful pets, but because of too much love for your pets, pets have taken over you. You reside from your office. You stay from morning till night watching their faces. They become abruptly calm and relaxed without any reason. But then they become abruptly agitated. You never know what type of frog may be jumping around, agitating all those. I'm just trying to give the predicament of being dominated by your own pets. Your senses and mind are your pets. Living a life of being dominated by them, constantly asking, what would you like me to do when I have vacation coming up? And they whisper, look for a list of hotels. Find a list of thrills. You say, but this requires a lot of money, a lot of effort. Even health can be endangered. And say, oh, what type of person? In other words, people are always in that predicament of being led by their senses, by their passing moods. And the bigger goal within you, how to be peaceful, how to enjoy satsanga, how to live a life of enrichment day by day, that moves away from your mind. So let me give you quickly all these 6 at least. Serenity, control of senses, Dhamma. Uparati. Uparati means not to develop desire for karmic involvement, not to develop a desire for changing your conditions, circumstances, led by karma. All karmic fruits put you in a world of time and space. Your goal is not made as a result of karma, but as a result of destroying the very source of karmas by jnana, wisdom. Karmas bring changes. Jnana lifts you up from all this. Think of dream and waking up from dream. Karma is keeping you in dream. Jnana, waking up from your dream. When you develop that type of mental attitude, called uparati. Next quality is called shraddha, faith. Next one, titiksha, endurance. As faith grows within you, you are not shaken because of apparent adversity and prosperity. You learn to understand that each one benefits you. Adversity benefits you by giving you willpower. Prosperity can benefit you by giving you humility. And sixth quality is samadhan, developing a mind that does not, that stops habit of complaining. Otherwise, mind has always complaints. You may hear a whole hour of good things happening, but end up, this something has happened that keeps me on my nerves. And some people develop abnormal involvement with how things are happening. If they're not happening here, they're happening somewhere. And why are they happening in this world which God created? I'm just giving you all these extra. So when you have these qualities, you are developing sadhana sampat. And the fourth of these, in this category, fourfold. Fourth is aspiration. There is intense hunger for attaining liberation. And that hunger is not psychological. It doesn't create any stress. But rather it gives you a sense of zest. A river that knows it has to reach the ocean, hungry for the ocean. It flows with vitality, with joy. Likewise, when you have that hunger for attaining liberation, now you begin to flow with a divine type of strength and support. That doesn't mean that your life will be always wonderful in appearance. Your life can be also challenging, situation that you have to endure through. But sensitive mind sees what a strength you have, that you are able to pass through those. And you also understand how grateful you are to God to let you pass through difficult circumstances and let you survive and be benefited from all the austerity. Making adversity turn into austerity. Miracle of God. And with this I will conclude. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.